everyone. Welcome to the K-pop Callout, a podcast where we have the conversations that K-pop fans don't have. I'm True,
And I'm honest.
and today's discussion topic is what are the pros and cons of K-pop for fans?
Yeah. So to start off with, I think that we should clarify the topic, kind of like how we're going to format today's discussion and stuff. So,
Yeah,
the topic this time is pretty straightforward. I don't think it needs like a lot of additional clarification. Pros and cons
yeah,
is pretty straightforward. I guess the one thing I would like to point out is that we're talking about the pros and cons that we're talking about is going to be specifically for fans. So like when people
yeah,
often talk about the pros and cons of K-pop, I feel like it's usually focused on the idols. I feel like it's usually about like the K-pop industry in general
yeah.
and how it affects idols. And so for today's discussion, we're specifically focusing on how K-pop
The
affects
fans.
fans. Yeah, the fans. Like not we're not going to be talking about idols at all or like the K-pop industry in general. It's like specifically focused on the fans. So that's one thing that we wanted to clarify.
Yeah,
And the other thing is that the way that we're going to format today's discussion is that we both made our own pros and cons lists. And as usual, we don't know what the other person is going to say because our discussions are completely unscripted. So we each have our own
yeah.
list. And I think we're going to start with the pros first. And then after we're done discussing the pros, we're going to move on and discuss the cons. And then at the end of the discussion, we're going to kind of just give a summary, I guess, of sort of like our overall, or share our overall impressions, I should say, of like kind
Yeah.
of K-pop, like how we kind of feel about,
Overall, like what we
mhm,
think. Yeah.
yeah, how we feel about K-pop overall in general. Like if we feel like it's like the good and the bad, I guess you could say, like kind of give more nuanced opinions rather than like only focusing on the positives and then only focusing on the negatives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But before we get into today's discussion, there was something from the last episode that I just wanted to clarify real quick, if that's
Yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
Yeah. So in the last episode, we had a lot of like points that we were going through. Like it was like 8 points in total or something like that. And so because we had so many points, we kind of ran out of time to be able to kind of
Yeah.
thoroughly discuss everything that we brought up. And so there was one like example that I gave that I was like not intending to really get into, but then I kind of started to get into it, but then I was like, no, 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 like I have to move on sort of. I can't really explain this, or I don't have time to like actually get into this. And what ended up happening is I kind of explained it poorly, and I'm just kind of wanted to clarify a little bit because I don't want to accidentally spread any misinformation. Or I think like when we were listening to the audio for the last episode, it kind of was like it was confusing. Like I realized like I kind of just said bits and pieces and didn't really explain things or phrase things that well. So I wanted to clarify that in this episode real quick. So in the last episode, I mentioned like I kind of talked a little bit about fan sites and
Mm.
how they would and I kind of just sort of was mentioning my observations, but again didn't really clarify or specify what I meant. And so I just wanted to kind of clarify like when I was talking about fan sites, like fan sites are fans in general, just kind of going to events and like taking pictures of their idols. The kind of situations I was talking about, like when I said like they're like hanging out in parking lots or like kind of lurking in parking lots and kind of following the idols around, I wasn't really talking about like after concerts, because like that's a very common thing. Like after concerts, a lot of fans might go to the parking lot afterwards to say goodbye to their idols. That's very normal. And so like I wasn't talking about like those types of situations. And like same when I was like I kind of mentioned things like about like fans were like seeing fans like taking pictures like through like bushes and trees. Like when I was saying things like that, I was kind of talking more about like when idols kind of have like events that they're performing at, or maybe other types of schedules, and it's kind of like it's not a situation where there's like usually a lot of security or maybe any security sometimes, and it's not very organized. And like usually it's like a situation where it's like the situations I was talking about where it's like the idols have a schedule that's like outside, somewhere like in the city or something like that. And then it's like
Yeah.
it's not a situation where they can just kind of like get into a van right away and leave. It's like they might have to like be out for a while or be walking around, like have to walk a distance to sort of like get to like the parking lot or where they need to go, or they kind of maybe in before an event or after an event, like they're trying to go places and stuff like that. And I was kind of talking about how there are a lot of fans who kind of like fans and fan sites in particular who just kind of they push the boundaries of how close they can get to the idols all the time, and they're like um filming and taking pictures in areas that they're not supposed to be in, or they're kind of it's kind of like a quote unquote gray area, some people might call it, but for me it's like they shouldn't really be there. They shouldn't be kind of, pushing the limits
Mm,
of how close they can get, and like and they'll
yeah.
just kind of continue to follow the idol like until literally until they get into the van, and like they're like literally fans following them all the way until the idol is like climbing into the van, and it seems like the fans almost might get into the van with them.
Yeah.
So like literally, so like that was the kind of behavior I was talking about. Like I'm not really talking so much about like fans, taking pictures or videos or saying bye to their idols after concerts, or like stuff like that. It's like when like the event is done, or when like or before the event has happened, it's like the fans kind of just like getting as close as they can and kind of lurking on the periphery and like filming and taking pictures of the idols when they don't know they're being filmed, or having like they don't necessarily know that fans are taking their pictures, and it's like they might be kind of sneaking around to the background somewhere, or like I said, they might be like taking pictures and videos through bushes or trees, or just so it's like it was that kind of behavior that I was referring to. I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. People will understand. So, we should get into the pros and cons of K-pop for fans.
So just one more thing I would like to add. So we're going to like list kind of like give like a short list, like a short list of points that we made for the pros, and then after we kind of list everything, then we're going to kind of give more like concrete examples or share personal experiences or observations.
Yeah. So, should I start?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay. So, this is my list for pros of K-pop for fans. Um, Being able to listen to genuinely good music and
Mm,
look at amazing dance moves and fashion and watch amazing and hilarious content. That was
that's a
one
good
point.
one. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's just
That,
good.
that was like that was like a really obvious one, but it wasn't in my pros list. So I'm like, oh right, yeah, that's
Really?
that's a good one.
Okay. And then I'll just kind of go over these quickly. There's not so much to talk about all of them. Um, Becoming more intellectual due to learning about the music, culture, history, language, and even politics of another nation, unless you are
Mm.
already Korean, of course.
Hmm.
And this is like one of the best things for me.
Hmm.
Like watching your idol go on, well, K dramas too, but especially Korean variety shows is so like those shows teach you so much. Like, even if they don't
Hmm.
intend to, you just learn about Korean culture and like even Korean music from like the 90s and 80s and even older. Like, your idol could do like a cover of a song from the 70s or something, and suddenly you know of a Korean song from the 70s. Like, I just love acquiring obscure knowledge like that. It's one of my biggest joys. Yeah, it's don't you agree? Like K-pop makes us genuinely more intellectual because knowing about other countries and their cultures, it really widens your how should I say
It
it?
really
Like
broadens your
perspective.
broadens
Yeah.
your horizons. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like you learn to look at things and think about things through other people's lenses.
Yeah. When you keep saying the word intellectual, it kind of makes me think of those like memes or whatever that K-pop fans say, like intellectuals only for like their music. Like if you don't listen to this artist, like it's intellectuals only. Like you don't get it unless you're like an intellectual.
Yeah.
And, like doesn't make sense, but it's like really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun learning about other countries and cultures and like learning like, other languages and stuff like that. And like it's fun when your hobbies kind of open up new worlds for you. And like for this, like getting into K-pop, I think a lot of fans experience this. And I think maybe it's the first time in their lives they've experienced this. Like they've never really consumed like a lot of content from any other country or culture or something like that, where it's like all these new things are being introduced to you. And yeah, I guess it is exciting. Like if I think about when I first got into K dramas and when I first got into K-pop, it was really exciting. And especially coming here, like coming to Korea and stuff like that, like you just are like, wow, it's real. Like everything I saw in K dramas and
Yeah.
K-pop content, it's real. It's like actually like that. And
Yeah.
it's just like it's kind of crazy how it just starts from watching things online sort of, and then like you could end up going there and living there and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know, it's cool. Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, like I've come from a point where I had heard of Seoul, but I didn't know which country it was in.
Hmm.
And I barely knew. I
Hmm.
mean, I did also know that South Korea exists,
Hmm.
but I knew nothing. I knew nothing. I didn't know where it was located.
Hmm.
I
Did
it
you know
was
that
so
there were two
bad.
Koreas? Did you know there were two Koreas?
Yeah, but I didn't know which one was like the
Which one
the
Seoul was in?
crazy one. And this might be kind of bad, but I remember asking. So my friend got me into K-pop,
Hmm.
and she told me about her favorite group, and I was like, "Which Korea do they live in?" She was like, "South."
Oh my god!
Jesus.
Oh my god! But I
I
guess
was
that if you like
horrified.
literally know, I guess if you like literally know absolutely nothing about that region of the world, like then, or
Yeah.
like then it makes sense. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
funny.
like I did know things about Japan, but not not Korea.
Yeah.
So the next one is finding inspiration to start new hobbies, like drawing because you might want to draw your K-pop idols, or dancing if you want to learn the choreographies of
Hmm.
your idols. And this kind of goes into my next point, expressing yourself in different ways, like the hobbies I mentioned, or let's say starting to dress like your idols, like they can inspire you with their fashion, can help you gain confidence and strengthen your self identity. And um, then I have a couple more.
Hmm.
Getting something to look forward to, and finding friends online in K-pop fandoms or IRL at K-pop events. Yeah, that was my list.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I feel like there's some overlap for some of ours, but that's fine because we can kind of like talk a little bit about it like right now for yours.
yeah,
But then I'm gonna save some things maybe for mine. So like if there's some points that I don't really respond to a lot, it's just because I'm saving it for what I'm gonna present for mine.
yeah. Let's see. I mean, I'm not gonna talk about all of those
Mm.
in depth, but I was going to talk about um, yeah, kind of like the hobbies thing and just like self expression. Like
Hmm.
that has really been my experience with K-pop.
Hmm.
Like I just got so many things to like do, and it was amazing. And like I really started to kind of like shape my identity around K-pop. Um
Hmm.
and yeah, I would say it did, or like the last thing that I said, of like one of my points,
Hmm.
It can help you gain confidence and strengthen your self identity. This is a double edged sword, even though this is a pros
Oh.
list. But I think I should mention it. It is a
Yeah,
little.
that's an interesting point. That's like I yeah, definitely get into that because like I feel like you've talked about this a little bit with me before, but not really like so much in depth. So like I think that that's something that like people would find really interesting to listen to or like to hear about because it might be the same for them or maybe not, but it's still interesting.
Yeah, like um, I've had multiple like identity crises in my life.
Crises.
Crises. And like when I had my first one, it was like right before I got into K-pop, and because of that, like finding K-pop right after, or like after being in crisis mode for a while, I
Mm-hmm.
felt like K-pop quote unquote saved me. That's what I told people, my
Mm-hmm.
friends. But later I kind of found out that no, I didn't actually find myself. Like I was just kind of, making K-pop my identity, or like kind of like um I don't know how to say it, but like, you know what I mean? Like kind of like shaping your identity around K-pop. And when I
Mm-hmm.
was getting kind of out of K-pop, it was becoming a problem. I was like, oh shit. Uh,
Now who am
one
I?
of yeah, who am I? Like when you find out or realize your only personality trait is being a K-pop fan, or like the only one that you
Mm.
know of, or one of the only ones, or one of the biggest ones, it's
Mm-hmm.
not so fun anymore. Um, but
Yeah,
I would
like
still, yeah.
oh, I was just gonna say like I feel like that might be something that like younger K-pop fans, like people who get into K-pop at a younger age, kind of experience more, feel more, as opposed to fans who get into
Mm,
K-pop when they're like well into adulthood. Because if you're getting into K-pop well into adulthood, then you already kind of have a sense of self, sort of. But like for people who are like
yeah.
grow up with K-pop, like it's a like kind of gets introduced into your life when you're like a kid or a teenager and stuff like that. Yeah, that's really interesting because like I got into K-pop when I
Mm,
was like much older than you were when you got into K-pop. So it's like I didn't experience that, but that's interesting. And like but it is true that like the content and stuff that we consume as we're growing up, like especially when we're younger, like in those kind of quote unquote formative years of our lives, it does influence the way that you kind
mm,
of like grow up, and it can kind of influence like your personality, or like it has more of an impact on you. Like that's why people say that like children's
yeah.
stories or like the stories that you read as a kid, like they like stay with you for like the rest of your life, or they kind of become a part of your identity. Like the
Oh,
content that you consume when you're younger, like kind of does sort of contribute or become a part of your identity in a way that content that you consume well into your adulthood, or like well into adulthood when you like have that sense of
yeah.
self, it's like it just doesn't usually have like the same kind of impact. I mean, it can obviously, but like it's kind of you're harder to influence the older you get. But when you're younger, it can be influenced very easily, and you just really take things in, you know.
Yeah, like especially for me, because I found I wasn't that young, but I got into K-pop at like the crack of um at the moment, at the right moment when I was just like figuring myself
Hmm.
out. And then, I just kind of like post myself. No, that's not. I really just put myself in it. Like,
Threw yourself into
and
it. Yeah, you were like
yeah,
all in.
and
You
like,
just dove right in.
yeah, and like, yeah, and like my identity started like really merging with like being a K-pop fan. And
Mm.
yeah, but I would still say that this is more of a positive thing than a negative, because if anything, K-pop can help you learn what you are not. Like,
Mm.
if you realize later, like, oh shit, this actually isn't me. And
Oh.
I was just like maybe escaping something, or like
Well, I would
um
I would
posing.
push back on that because I mean, who we are as people, as individuals, our personalities, they're not our personalities are not static. Like they're constantly changing. So it's like I think it's kind of
Yeah,
disingenuous or like not quite accurate to say that's not who I really was because it's like that was who you were back then, but who you are is constantly changing and evolving and so it's like
yeah,
I guess like you shouldn't I wouldn't say like it wasn't you. It's just that was you then, but then you kind of realized like you know who you were back then was like it was built around K-pop sort of and it wasn't you didn't really feel like
yeah,
it was like who you were like inside or innately or something like that.
yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Like, it's kind of wrong to say that that's not who I was, because yeah, I definitely was was that some
Mhm.
amount. But I would say there was a lot, um many other things about me too that I didn't just hadn't like found yet, or were really coming out. And yeah, it's finding out what you are not, or like maybe there's still something um that's like basically realizing that you still haven't found yourself even after all this time of being a K-pop fan, and like building
Mhm.
your K-pop fan identity. It's
Mhm.
always forward.
Mhm.
Yeah. And right now,
What do you
years
mean it's always
later,
wait, what do you mean it's always forward?
um yeah, just like finding out what you are not, even though
Mhm.
it's not finding out what you are, it's still forward, because it still helps you. And
Mm, yeah, yeah.
maybe you identify with bits of it. Like, I
Mhm.
definitely still, like, obviously I am
Mhm.
more of a casual fan now, um
Mhm.
but still I'm a K-pop fan, so I do identify with like bits of it.
Mhm.
Like, I'm definitely a fan girl, and that's my
Mhm.
identity. um
That's my identity. Can't take that
Fangirl,
away
I'm
from me.
proud. Yeah. But like, yeah, there are things that I realized that I am not about it. And yeah, it was a
What things did you
phase.
realize? What things? So because you keep saying it kind of tells you what you're not. So I'm kind of curious because you said okay, what you are, like what K-pop made you realize you are, but what kind of things did it make you realize you're not?
um that's a hard question. I
Suddenly this
didn't.
became like a therapy session. Sorry, like suddenly this became like a K-pop therapy session.
Maybe it's more like there were things, um or like my real identity was kind of like covered by K-pop, more like I wasn't those things related to K-pop or stuff. It's just like it was all like in the bushes, and like I had
In the
all of
bushes?
my
What
the
is that like
bushes
a?
of K-pop,
We're in the bushes. What does that mean?
all in the shadows of K-pop, and like, yeah,
Okay. What you're saying is like your quote unquote real personality you felt was being overshadowed by
yeah,
K-pop.
overshadowed.
Okay.
But still,
Okay.
I don't
In the
feel.
bushes.
Yeah, like I said, it's like I don't think it was like holding me back from
Hmm.
developing or anything. Like, I was still
Hmm.
going forward, but like, still, I was lost but unaware of it, I would say. um
Hmm.
because yeah, back then I was like, this is like, I can't believe I found myself. And then, because I had all of my eggs in one basket later, when
Mm,
I got out of K-pop, I was like, what,
yeah.
who am I?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was everything that I wanted to present for my pros, even though the last one was kind of, it was still more of a pro, I would say.
Yeah. I think we're good to move on to my pros list then.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna quickly list then what my pros of K-pop are for K-pop fans, and then I'm gonna get into it.
Yeah.
So my first pro is um, K-pop can motivate fans to take action, to expand their horizons, and improve in their own lives. Like for example, like exercising, dancing, learning Korean, going out to social gatherings, doing things they want to do, etc. Um, and another pro is it can be a source of inspiration and encouragement for fans. And another one, I'm just gonna list them all. Like, music and art are healing and comforting. It gives you something to look forward to. K-pop is a fun, interesting, and engaging hobby. And the last one is you can end up making good friends and or connections in the K-pop community. So
Yeah.
those were the pros that I thought of K-pop for fans. So I'm just gonna get into like kind of go more in depth for a couple of those points. So um, to share
Hmm.
like to share like my kind of personal take. So for the first one, I wrote K-pop can motivate fans to take action, expand their horizons, improve their own lives. Um, and like for example, for me, like I hate exercising, but like
Yeah.
I've always hated
Same.
exercise. I've always hated exercising, and I just like in general have not. I mean, I'm not. I don't want to say I haven't lived. I don't want to say I'm unhealthy. I'm not unhealthy. I just like haven't lived the healthiest life. Like I hate exercising, and I like just kind of eat whatever I want, sort of. Um,
Yeah.
but when I got into K-pop, I actually started exercising. Like I actually it kind of inspired me and motivated me to kind of start exercising and to start dancing and like do even like some
Mm.
weightlifting and stuff like that. Like not a lot. I'm not a gym rat or anything like by any means. But like it went from like never to like sometimes, which is a pretty big improvement. And like, and
Oh.
yeah, like before I got into K-pop, I like never exercised, like never. I was not motivated at all, and it's just because a lot of it's just like I like watching like the dancing, the choreographies, and stuff like that. So it just made me want to like try doing it myself, and like I'm still a horrible dancer. I still have not actually truly mastered a single K-pop choreography, but like I was like it's fun though. Like I like it's exercise and like I just like, you know, following along to like the mirrored dance practice videos, like K-pop
Yeah.
and like it's
Your
just like
skill literally doesn't matter if you're
it
having
doesn't matter. Yeah,
fun.
I just enjoy it. I just pretend I'm good at it. Like I watch them and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm moving just like them, just
Yeah.
kind of follow along. And
Yeah.
then I've also kind of like been eating a little bit healthier like since I got into K-pop. So that was a really long side
Oh.
tangent, but like I kind of just got like it kind of introduced like yeah, these things are important and you kind of get that inspiration of seeing idols where it's like they're generally really like fit and can do a lot of things and really good dancers and stuff like that. So it's just like good inspiration to just kind of like live a healthier life.
Yeah.
And like I do things alone a lot, but I do things alone at home. Like that's the kind of person I've always been. I never did like would go out and do things by myself. And like after getting into K-pop, I started going to concerts by myself and I started solo traveling and I've like going to restaurants by myself and like I do like I just started like doing going out into the world, everywhere in the world and like,
Yeah.
just going out and doing things and I've learned how to enjoy things doing things on my own out in public, but also like I've gone out like put myself out there and have actually like met up with other K-pop fans like many times and like I'll actually be
Yeah.
the one initiating it and like organizing kind of meetups or gatherings sometimes. So like and that's very unlike me. Like I generally am like I'm very introverted and I don't like putting myself out there. I don't like going to social gatherings, but like in the K-pop community, you're like, well, even if it's like awkward and whatever, like at least we have a common interest, and that makes it a little bit easier to kind of meet up with people.
Yeah.
Like even though
It
it is kind
does.
of even though it's kind of painful meeting people you've
Yeah.
like never met in real life or like whatever, like you know that you have a common interest and like chances are like you've talked to them, maybe you've talked to them a lot like online, and so it's like they're not a complete stranger like you would be.
Yeah.
We met up in real life and hung out.
Yeah.
So like and that's like just that's like those are like things like I just like never do, and like after finding K-pop I have started to do those things, and I think those things are good for me. And K-pop has also gotten me kind of more interested in like mental health and wellness and stuff like that, just because like
Mm.
um well, I mean, for my own personal reasons, but also I feel like
You've seen
K-
so much unhealthiness in the fandom.
it's a couple things. Yeah, it's a couple things. I've yeah, I've witnessed a lot of unhealthiness, yes, in K-pop fandoms, but I also feel like K-pop idols, like not all of them, but there are K-pop idols who do like who have like made like mental health content or wellness content, and I feel like it's
Yeah.
something that is kind of like becoming more popular for idols to kind of be more like open about their own mental health struggles, but also not just that, but like also kind of like trying to like I don't know, be a source of like support or encouragement, or like encourage fans to kind of like, you know, better their mental health, or like, you know, to take care of their wellness, and like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like that's
Yeah,
becoming
it
more of a
has
thing.
become. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is like one of the has been one of the big pros for me since I've gotten into K-pop. Another I've got two more. Like, sorry, like you can keep you can respond as I'm like presenting these things. Like it
Okay,
doesn't.
so can I
Yeah, yeah.
say
You can say
something
yeah,
to the
yeah,
point?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the healthiness, like the physical health thing,
Mm-hmm,
um, that's a side effect that I didn't even think of like at all.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Maybe because that has really not been the case for me, but that's really interesting. Like, not saying that you need to start having like living more healthy
mm-hmm,
if you're a K-pop fan, but that's really interesting. Like them being healthy like inspired you to
mm-hmm,
be more healthy. And like,
mm-hmm.
of course there's a toxic, it can be toxic, and it is a little toxic with K-pop idols.
Yeah, for them it's in
um
the other. Yeah, it can be too much in the other direction where like they're too obsessed with health, with healthiness, or like trying to be in have a certain physical appearance or something. But for people
but
like me
still,
who are like on the other end of the spectrum and are like I hate working out, you know, I don't
yeah.
want to eat healthy.
Yeah, and like, um yeah, okay, you can you can go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So for the next point that I wanted to get into, because I had said earlier that K-pop can be a source of inspiration and encouragement for fans, and like I know that inspiration and encouragement aren't quite the same thing, but I just grouped them together because I didn't want to make like two separate points. Like it can be a source of encouragement, and it can be a
Yeah,
source of and it can be a source of
there is
inspiration. You know,
some
I'm just
overlap
there's some
with
overlap, so I
those.
just kind of lumped them
Yeah.
together because they're a little similar. So
Yeah.
this is something that I have personally experienced, and I know that like other fans maybe I don't know if they've experienced it in the same way or not, but like I think that this is something that fans can all kind of relate to in some way, even if it might manifest in different ways. So K-pop can be personally inspiring, like it can inspire you to want to follow your dreams and to improve and do things and so on. I've also seen a lot of fans get creative inspiration from K-pop as well. And it's also been a source of encouragement for me personally, since I'm not someone who's gotten much encouragement or support in my life. So I turn to music for a lot of things, like when I'm anxious or scared or stressed or having a hard
Yeah.
time or going through something. Especially like if I don't have anyone who I can talk to, or like there are cases where other people in my life are busy or aren't available, or sometimes I just need to process things on my own. So I often like turn to music, and kind of it kind of helps me sort of process. Um, and there have been times when I didn't have anyone except for my idols, and listening to their music and watching their content were the only forms of comfort and encouragement that I had.
Yeah.
And also, since idols are people who are following their dreams and achieving their dreams, I learn things from them and feel inspired and encouraged by their words, as I'm someone who also would like to pursue my passion someday and achieve my dream someday. And there's like a particular idol that I kind of consider to be my role model because I really don't have anyone modeling pursuing their dreams and achieving their dreams in my life or social circle.
Yeah, that's really, really good. Like, I love that so much.
Do you? I'm just saying
Yeah.
that.
I do. Like people, if you don't have anyone, idols are like so good for like lifting you up when you
Hmm.
need to be lifted up.
Yeah, I feel like this is that at least that part, like getting the encouragement for idols and stuff like that. Like I think that that's something that a lot of fans probably relate to too. Like I think, and I know that like when people talk about the loneliness epidemic, they kind of usually think about relationships, but I feel like it can apply to like friendships or just having support systems. Like I think a lot of people just like I think a lot of people just don't have people that they can talk to or get support or encouragement from, or like just not many people, or you know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
like, I think that, I mean, I don't think it's been the case for you, but I think that there are probably a lot of fans who can relate to like maybe having gone through periods in their lives where they literally had like no friends or like no like close friends or people who they could like talk to or go to when they're having a hard time and stuff like that. And so like there, and I have had moments like periods like that in my life at times. And like when I first got into K-pop, I was in one of those periods, and like it
Mm.
literally was the case where it was like I was having a hard time and I didn't have anyone I could talk to, and like I literally only had my idols. Like I just listened to their music, and like that was like the only source of support that I really had, you know. And so it's like I think that is a pretty big pro for people who like don't who are lacking that in their lives and stuff like that. Like if you can't get it from anywhere else, then it's like good if you can at least get it from your idols, even though they're not people who are like in your life or anything like that. Like, and music can be, like I said, healing and comforting and stuff like that too. And I think that's also part of like the support that, at least for me, that
Yeah.
I feel like I get. Like, it's not just like what I, because I don't really place a lot of importance on things that idols say. I mean, I do when it comes to some things, but like, I don't like. I don't believe like all the fan servicey stuff really. Like I mean if they say something that's like that seems real or inspiring or encouraging, like in an interview or something like that, then like I take those words to heart. But like the music is encouraging and inspiring, and sometimes the things that they share, like if they make mental health content or in their interviews or something, or if they're talking about opening up and talk about their own struggles or their own journeys, like that can be helpful. Especially like if they kind of, you know, are aware that other people might be going through the same thing or might be able to benefit from hearing their stories or hearing their advice or whatever.
Yeah. Like idols talking about their own struggles is really powerful.
Hmm.
And even if we're not talking about the idols specifically,
Hmm.
like you said, music is so powerful to the brain. Like it reaches the places that other things don't,
Hmm.
and it like makes your whole consciousness aware of some emotion.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely like can be cathartic, and it does something for you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And last in our last episode, we it was about parasocialism, and like, yeah, I might have sounded a little harsh like some, because I've kind of been on the other end. It's like easy for me to like kind of it's kind of ironic because I still do feel the same feelings. Sometimes they might slightly come back a little bit. Sometimes, like if I look at an idol, I'm like, oh, like I kind of remember how it felt like back then. But because of my experience of the other end, like how bad it kind of can be, I
Hmm.
easily kind of, sound a little too harsh sometimes. So
Hmm.
this is my chance to kind of backpedal. Like, obviously, maybe I'm not taking things back that I said because they are true, but also it's true that loving idols is not completely bad. And like, not everyone has anyone. And
Hmm.
like, if
Has
you just
someone. Not
have,
not everyone has
yeah,
someone or has other
yeah,
people. Yeah.
yeah. And if you can, if you get strength from an idol saying something and it like makes a big impact on you, obviously that's not bad. Like, there
Hmm.
is a healthy way to like cope with this, cope with things, and an unhealthy way. you
Hmm.
know the line may be a little gray, but like, obviously, if you're like down in the dumps, then it doesn't matter if it seems a little parasocial. If it is a little parasocial, there
Hmm.
is just a line that shouldn't be
Yeah,
crossed.
yeah. You gotta kind of, you can't let it get out of control or become like overly dependent on it or anything like that. But like a little bit of everything is fine.
Yeah.
Just can't be too much. Yeah. So the last point that I wanted to kind of get a little bit more in depth into is I think that one of the biggest benefits of K-pop for fans is that it gives fans something to look forward to, which I know is one of your points too. I think true. I mean,
Yeah.
like, and like on the downside, fans can sometimes be too dependent on it, but like still, like I think it's
Mm.
good. In general, it's really important for people to have things to look forward to in their lives, like things that make life more enjoyable and like frankly like worth living. I mean, maybe that
Yeah.
seems like a little bit dark, but like it's true. Like we need,
Honestly.
yeah, like we need things that like make life enjoyable and that make it like you feel like yes, it is worth living this life. And it can be hard to find or have things to look forward to in our everyday lives, especially if you're in a situation where you're like pretty discontented with life or you don't have much free time or you're limited in what you can do or your life just feels like it's all work and no play and stuff like that. Like K-pop can give you a lot of things to look forward to and be excited about.
Yeah, like other artists, like Western artists, I don't really follow them, so I don't know how often they make albums these
It's
days,
like not
but
often. No, it's
once
not
in
often.
3 years or
Once in
something.
once, yeah, like we literally like probably that's probably the average like once in 3 years or sometimes once in 5 years or 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can call K-pop a machine. That's like way too hard on the
Hmm.
idols and stuff. But it's really, really nice to like have consistent
Hmm.
new music and
Hmm.
content, even if it's not music. Like, for in my life too, there has been a couple, not many, but some moments where I've just been waiting for the weekend and nothing else. And like,
Hmm.
knowing that there's like a new episode of their show or something, or a new album, it just makes my whole month.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
even a
No,
year.
seriously. Like, it's so important to have those things because it's just kind of like, otherwise,
Yeah.
life is just all drudgery. It's just all kind of, go to work, go to school or go to work. And like, there's like, it
Yeah.
sucks. It sucks if you have like nothing to look forward to and nothing to
Mm.
enjoy and like nothing to get excited about. So, yeah, K pop is awesome when it comes to that.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome.
All right.
So, we should get into the cons. The
Yes.
cons of K-pop for fans.
Hmm.
So I have only 2 points, but the first one has like a bunch of sub points, so they count.
Okay.
So, potential obsession slash attachment, which could lead to, and this is the subpoint list, affecting one's social life negatively, financial issues, parasocialism, and immense sadness or disappointment.
This you sound like you're reading the side effects for a new drug or something that was just tested
Yeah.
and approved.
New drug discovered. K-pop.
Yeah. Do you have those commercials in your country where it's kind of like side effects may include blindness, seizures,
Yeah.
death?
Yeah. Side effects may include affecting social life negatively, financial issues.
Yeah. It's literally like that. What was the overarching point then? Because those are all different things. So like, what was the overarching point again?
Yeah. Those were things that potential obsession / attachment could lead to.
Okay.
Because even attachment, not really obsession, can lead to those things. And the other point is being subjected to unnecessary drama and or negativity in your daily life. So I kind of want to talk about the last one, immense sadness or disappointment. I don't know if you really know what I mean.
Do you mean like if like if the idols are inactive or something like that, or
Yeah,
if they
for
disappoint you or
example.
something?
Yeah, there are many things that could lead to that if you are too attached. The source of the sadness and disappointment could be the idol you stand if they do something problematic or something. And this is related to the last point. There's some overlap, like being subjected to unnecessary drama and or negativity in your daily life. The drama could come from the fandom, which is why I didn't want to specify where those things are coming from. However, for me, the root of most of the negativity, the most sadness, most disappointment is the company of the artist you stand.
Not the idols, not the fans, it's the companies.
Company. Being subject to the bullshit of your idol's company is the worst con of K-pop. Like,
You think it's the worst? I think the worst con of K-pop is like the fandom toxicity, but yeah, I guess like shitty
that
companies.
too, but
yeah.
like honestly, because you can kind of ignore the fandom if you want. It's not easy.
Yeah, true.
If
You
you're
make
like,
a choice. Yeah, to like.
Yeah,
you don't have to be
it
on
is a
social
choice.
media. Yeah.
Yeah, and finding out about the company's bullshit is also like you find out about those things through social media too. However, those are still things that actually affect the idol's career and like let's say how often they come back. So
Yeah.
even if you ignored everything, even if you were not on Twitter or somewhere, you could potentially notice that, hold on, where's my group? Well, I haven't seen my group in a long time, heard about them, and it's like you can't escape. You can't escape. And even if you only follow like the group's Twitter or something,
Like the official, social
yeah,
media
the official
accounts.
things, those posts also can make you mad. Many times have made me mad.
I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. Well, I mean, I'm sure they're but like, can I say like what?
Yeah.
like, the typos and
Yeah.
like
Fucking typos.
like every single time, every single time.
Every single time there's a typo in like in an announcement, and it's like
or even worse, they just like
in the music video too.
in the music video, or even worse, they forgot to write their own artist's name in the credits for the song that the artist wrote. Do you remember that?
Has that no?
That happened. You remember that?
When? That's really bad if you forget to credit your own artist. Like,
Yeah.
holy shit. And like, yeah, just
Well, just not promoting the group, not promoting the members. That's like, I know it's like that's something that K-pop fans complain about a lot, but like that's like so true because it's like these companies these companies get in, they become K-pop agencies because they want to like make money because K-pop is very profitable, but then they act like they demonstrate with their actions that they don't want to make money because they literally do
Yeah.
nothing to actually make money,
They're
which
just
is crazy.
sabotaging themselves.
Yeah, they're sabotaging themselves and their artists. It's like, why did you get into this business if it's like you like they literally act like they don't want to make money. Like they don't restock albums for some reason. It's like, so you don't want money,
Yeah,
okay?
light sticks are just never
Yeah,
restocked.
nothing is ever, no albums, no merch is ever restocked. They never promote their artists, so it's like, okay, so you invested tens, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars into this, and you're not going to promote it at all. Like, what?
Yeah, and there is demand.
There is
There
demand.
is demand.
Like these aren't like groups that no one's ever heard of. Like it's like, yeah, it's crazy. And then also just like they, or it's like, you know, certain members might get a lot of offers from like offers come to them basically, but then like there are other members that are like very talented where it's like, wouldn't you want all of your artists to be booked and busy because that's just more money in your wallet? Like I
Yeah.
just don't get it. Like, what?
Yeah, favoritism is a big thing.
It's not even favoritism, it's just kind of like some idols just like get more offers. Like it's not even like the company's promoting them, it's like the offers come to the idol, but it's like the company's like,
Mm,
oh, if I have to do any work to promote, then no, basically. So it's like, it's not
yeah,
even that
this
they're
is
promoting
deny
one and
those
not the
things.
other,
Yeah.
it's like one of them just like gets more offers, and but then the ones that don't, it's like, wouldn't you want them booked and busy too? Because like you get a cut, like a huge cut of anything that they do. Why wouldn't you
Yeah.
promote them? I just don't understand.
Yeah. Like you and me, we have been subject to the worst of the
The
worst
worst
companies
companies, the
ever.
worst,
Like,
the worst.
and yeah, we're
Yeah.
not, to clear up, we're not talking about a single company. We're talking about
No, we're
many.
talking about, yeah, there's multiple ones, yeah.
So, yeah, honestly, if you love a group, to a point you can stand it. But for me, it got to a point where I literally had to take a step back from my group
Mm-hmm.
because my blood was just boiling every day.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
K-pop is supposed to be fun,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be fun, but this freaking company is just making me so angry
Yeah.
that at this point, I feel like I'm more angry than happy about K-pop. So I had to take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I've been feeling better thanks to that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's all I wanted to talk about for my cons.
Okay. Um, I think we're going to move on to mine because,
Yeah.
all right, so I'm going to just quickly list, like I did last time. I'm just going to list all of them first, and then I'm going to get more in depth for my cons. So, my cons of K-pop for K-pop fans are, it's bad for your mental health, like being online a lot, obsession, delulu-ness, toxic positivity, etc. The fandom toxicity, cult culture, bullying, fan wars, fandom infighting, bandwagon effects, pylons, harassment, threats, exclusion, censorship, silencing. Like that's all under the fandom toxicity point. Um,
Yeah.
a lot of fans seem to invest more in their idols or into K-pop than they do in themselves and trying to achieve their goals and dreams. It's common for fans in some capacity to become addicted to and dependent on content, updates, interactions regarding their favorite idols. Like K-pop is very addicting. And lastly, K-pop can become fodder for unfair comparisons and or contribute to existing insecurities or low self-esteem.
Oh.
So, yeah. So the first point that I want to get into is the fandom toxicity, like because that is by far like the biggest con of K-pop for fans, in my opinion. A lot of fans know this and acknowledge this, yet it's still so prevalent and such a big issue.
Yeah.
We join these K-pop fan communities because we want to get updates regarding our favorite idols and want to like fangirl slash fanboy slash fan person with other fans. But K-pop fandoms are just really fucking toxic. All of them are, at
Yeah.
least to some extent. Like, even though there are many fandoms that are in denial about being toxic, but like, ironically, from my experience at least, I feel like I feel like it's like always like the fandoms that promote this idea of them being like a quote unquote like peaceful, loving, non-toxic fandom that are usually the fandoms that are like the most obsessed or like the most extreme or delulu or like detached from reality.
Yeah.
And they like just they demonstrate that they like lack empathy for both other fans and for the idols they
Yeah.
claim to love. And like yeah, the fandoms like just can really taint and ruin the experience of
Mm,
standing idols, and they
definitely.
are also just like a huge they can be a huge source of like a lot of like needless frustration and anger and hurt in one's life. So that's like the first kind of point. um I don't even know if like there's really much to share because I feel like we've already talked about this. um
Yeah.
and then another point that I wanted to get into regarding what I said, where it feels like K-pop fans. I'm saying K-pop fans kind of generally, but like obviously I'm not saying I don't mean all of them, but like it seems like K-pop fans tend to invest more in their idols than they do in themselves, and it's kind of like ironic because on the one hand K-pop can inspire you to want to be better and achieve your dreams and goals, but on the other hand it can also hold you back from doing so, and I feel like there are a few reasons for this. Like one, K-pop is really addicting and good at getting our attention and keeping our attention, so we like think about it a lot and we spend a lot of time online and we're constantly seeing updates and
Yeah.
content regarding it, so like that distracts us from thinking about other things. And two, this sounds sad, but like it's easier to bet on someone who has already made it and who's already successful than it is to bet on ourselves. Like, and this is to the point of why I feel like K-pop fans tend to invest more in their idols than they do in themselves, because
Yeah.
like we as like non-celebrities, like we haven't quote unquote made it yet or aren't successful yet, so like I think it's harder for in the minds of fans to like bet on ourselves or to try to like invest in ourselves because you know, people like to see fast, invisible, or noticeable results for their work and efforts, and like you can get that when you support your favorite idols, like with the streaming and the voting and supporting them and stuff like that. But like when it comes to ourselves, it's like a slower process and it takes longer and it's harder and takes
Yeah.
like more work, you know. So it's like it's easier to kind of invest in idols because you're going to be able to get those kind of fast results, you know, and like see that those fast and visible results, whereas like investing in ourselves it kind of feels like more of a gamble.
Yeah.
And then I feel like a lot of fans like to live vicariously through their idols and they often project their egos onto idols. So like when the idols do well, fans feel like they win and like, you know, like they experience that success like a bit vicariously through their idols and feeling like, you know, when they win we win, and that's like so much easier than like actually like putting in the work to strive towards your own goals and dreams. So
Yeah, and that is encouraged in K-pop fandoms.
mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
other fans
they're like put your life. They're
call
like put your life on
you,
hold. They're like your life can wait. You need to
yeah,
support your idol right now.
yeah. They might call you a bad fan if you aren't voting, or like if they
Mm-hmm.
see that you aren't
You're
voting.
not voting or streaming, or just don't seem like you're doing enough to support the idol. Yeah,
Yeah,
idols. And well, and this is like one of the aspects of K-pop that I have been like affected personally, like have been most affected by it personally, and I'm constantly in conflict
mm,
about because like I have things that I want to do, like I have my like dreams and goals and stuff, and like I want to kind of quote unquote make it in my own way too. And like on the one hand, like my idols have, you know, given me like hope for myself and like they've kind of inspired me to pursue my own dreams, but at the same time K-pop like distracts me from doing that. Like it's like ironic, it's like it makes me want to like pursue my dreams, but it
yeah,
also distracts me from trying to pursue my dreams and also kind of demotivates me um when trying to like make real progress towards achieving what I want to. So it's like interesting how it's like both can kind of be true at the same time.
yeah. That's very interesting. Like K-pop is like helping you be inspired and stuff and do things, go out there, but you're using so much time and energy into just being a K-pop fan and doing like K-pop related things.
Hmm. Yeah, well, it's not just that, it's that like it's easier to focus on a distraction than it is to like actually put in like the time and the effort to like actually do the things you want to do, which I know as I'm saying that I know that sounds kind of lazy, but it's like it is easier. to like support your
It
idols.
is.
It is easier
Yeah.
to support your idols and to like kind of focus on the distractions and stuff like that, to focus on other people, than it is to like put in the work that you need to do to actually achieve what you want to achieve. And so it's kind of like, it's hard because K-pop is my hobby. I really like it, and it's something that I like to like talk about and think about, and I really enjoy the content a lot and stuff like that. But then, like I said, at the same time, it's like it takes up a lot of my time, and it's distracting me from like focusing on
Mm,
myself, and like yeah, it's become like a hindrance for me in trying to follow my dreams too, especially like just because it keeps your attention and stuff like that, and it
yeah,
demands a
I
lot of
get
attention
that.
from you. Yeah.
Yeah, like imagine when you're like voting. Um,
Hmm.
though I don't know if you do a lot of voting, but like
I used to do a lot of voting and a lot of streaming
yeah,
back in
that's
the
like
day.
so like you have to have your phone on the side the whole
Oh my
time. I
god,
mean,
it's so annoying, and watch
and
so
just
many
like keep
ads.
playing the ads.
Keep
Yeah.
in the ads or playing games, but those take even
Yeah.
longer. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
like
huge time, yeah, it's a huge time
mm,
commitment, and it's like when your focus is all on like trying to support your idol and or consuming your idol's content, it's like, and then you also have other obligations in your life like a job or whatever, or just other things you're trying to do. It's like then there is no time really left to
yeah,
do
you
the
have
other
two
things you actually
jobs.
want to do. Yeah. Yeah, you have two jobs. Yeah. Yeah, and so, and then the last point that I wanted to get into, and this one is, it's kind of long again, but with regard to K-pop being fodder for unfair comparisons, this can manifest in a lot of different ways. So, like one of the ways is, and you had pointed this out or talked about this in our last discussion, is that K-pop can be fodder for unfair comparisons when it comes to relationships, because K-pop fans might unfairly compare their partners to their idols, even though they don't really know their idols. And all idols
Yeah.
filter or modify their personalities at least somewhat because they're idols. So fans can end up unfairly comparing real people that they know with the fantasy image of their idols who they don't really know. So that's one way that that K-pop can kind of feed into like unfair comparisons. Another way that this can manifest is that fans can unfairly compare themselves with their idols.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how common this is. Like I don't know if you have experienced this, or because I feel like it's not really something that fans like ever talk about or would ever admit to if it does apply to them. But this is
Mm.
something that I have been struggling with a lot since I became a K-pop fan. Like I keep feeling like the gap between me and my idols in terms of success and having made progress towards achieving our dreams and goals and stuff, it's so big, and it just keeps getting bigger. And so that feels really defeating for me, where it's like, I'm someone
Mm.
where it's like I have things I want to do. I would also like to be successful in my own way, but it's like I keep like unfairly comparing myself, who like hasn't really properly started trying to do what I want to do, with people who've already made it and who are already really successful and who just keep
Yeah.
building on that success and getting more and more successful. Like on the one hand, it can be inspiring, but it can also be defeating and demotivating, because it's like you shouldn't compare yourself to people who've already made it and who like, also have maybe gotten lucky in many ways, like in terms of like, you know, the families that they were born into and the genetics they were born with, and like, the
Yeah.
opportunities that maybe were just like literally presented to them, like maybe they were street casted. There are some idols I stand that were street
Mm.
casted, where someone literally approached them and was like, you should be an idol, and they like got in like immediately, so it's
Yeah.
like it's not really like I shouldn't compare myself to them, or it shouldn't compare kind of where I'm at with like where they're at, because we have different journeys and have had different lives and all these things, but like I do. And then like the
Hmm.
last way that this can manifest, and like I feel like this is like the most common manifestation of K-pop being fodder for unfair comparisons, but this is kind of more of like a subtle or harder to identify or call out, And I feel like it mostly manifests as celebrity worship, with like, and like fans thinking that their idols are perfect, which we talked about in the first episode. Like fans
Yeah.
unfairly look down on other fans for not being celebrities, and they see idols as being above non-celebrities. And like fans who do
Mm.
this, they feel like they are less than or inferior to their idols or
Yeah.
celebrities in
In
general
their mind,
on the basis of not being
subconsciously,
successful or famous. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's a
So
gap.
yeah, yeah, they're projecting their own insecurity and self-esteem issues and inferiority complex in these situations, and demonstrating that they view celebrities as being more valuable than non-celebrities.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
like another thing is, even if it's not about success or like an idol having made it, it can
Hmm.
also be just skill.
Hmm.
Because you're, as a fan, you're aware of your age and you know the idol's age. So you might compare yourself like, that idol is younger than me, but they're like so much, so much better than me at like dancing and stuff.
Hmm.
And like for me, it's kind of been like, I am a dancer
Hmm.
and I have been dancing since I was a kid, but
Hmm.
still they're like much better than me. And I'm like, why
Hmm.
did I not work hard enough? Which I honestly, I went to one class a week. And that's
Yeah.
nothing compared to them. Yeah, it's just unfair comparisons.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because yeah, they probably didn't like it as kids. Like they probably wanted to go to their friend's house and play rather than go to
Hmm.
dance class probably every day. I don't know their schedule, but
Well, I mean, it depends on like if the parents kind of forced them to do it or if they
yeah.
chose to do it. But yeah, I suppose like even if you want to do it and you're like, you know, you will say I want to be an idol and you get in, then like, I mean, you could quit at any time, but you're kind of locked into it. It's kind of like everyone tells you if you want to do this, then this is what you have to do. So yeah, you are just kind of locked into like doing. It's basically yeah, just practicing every day, all the time for years.
Yeah, and it's like it's kind of silly to compare yourself to someone who might have been forced to do it and didn't even enjoy. Like we
Mm-hmm.
maybe we should think about instead of thinking about like why am I so bad and why am I like this? Um
Mm-hmm.
I hope this doesn't sound like shallow or anything, but we should think about how good we've had some things. I mean, I can't speak for anyone, but for myself, I can be happy about being able to play with my friends and have some free time and not have my parents force me to do
Mm-hmm.
something that I really didn't want to do or didn't want to do as much as often. So like it's just so easy to focus on the negative things.
Yeah, it's like easy to focus on the success aspect when it's kind of like there were so many things that had to like happen.
Yeah.
Like the idols who even debut, like how what's the percentage? It's like 1% of idol trainees actually debut or something like that.
Yeah, maybe 0.1. I don't
Yeah, it's
remember.
like a really small percentage of like trainees to like that debut, and then like for the ones who actually become successful idols too. I mean, success can kind of, I'm using that term kind of fluidly or loosely, sort of, or
Yeah.
like because it's like I don't, because you can be really successful, but like not necessarily have like the most views or the most streams, and I don't know if that's even a good way to like you can't measure success. You know what I mean? Like because
Yeah.
you know it. But like basically like the idols that we stand like they're like 0.00001% or something. Like they're like a very, so it's like not fair to compare yourself to like the exception, you know what I mean, to the one. And also like
Yeah.
even for the ones who made it, like I said, there were so many things that had to happen in order for them to even like be in that position. And like a lot of, I
Yeah.
mean
They
I mean
suffered.
they
They
suffered,
suffered.
they suffer, but there's also like so many things where it's kind of like the thing that I have to like keep telling myself is kind of like, you know, yes, like of course I'm not trying to diminish their hard work or like make it seem like they didn't work hard. Like obviously if you make
Mm,
it, you did work very hard, but like they also have like a team of people helping them out. It's not just them on their own. They have
yeah.
they have a team of people, and I think not always, but usually they also have like get support from their family and friends and stuff like that. So, like they have like a whole support system, and they have a whole team of people like
Mm,
helping to make these things happen. And they're not doing everything on their own. Like even for self-producing idols, they still have a whole team of people. They still have like a company, you know, a team that they work with. Like there's a bunch of people that they work with and that they get support in various ways, and then also have like their family and friends and stuff like that. And it's like I don't have that. It's just me. You know what I mean? And I think
yeah.
for most average people who kind of want to do things, it usually is just them on their own. They don't have a team that they're working with that can, if they don't have a company, they don't have
Mm,
a team, they don't have a support system, you know what I mean, to make things happen.
yeah, exactly. Like sometimes, let's be real, like we talked about, the company is sabotaging rather than helping, but still,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I'm in their
still
situation.
there might be some people and some idols really have had it better than
Yeah.
others.
Yeah, so those are my points for the cons of K-pop for fans.
Yeah. So we had many pros and many cons, but what is the conclusion? Is K-pop bad or is
No,
K-pop
no.
good?
I don't think that's.
That's
I don't
what
think.
we're determining right now. Is K-pop bad or good?
No, yeah, that's not what we're determine. But yeah, but um, yeah, I don't know. Do you want to go first in giving your kind of, I don't know, overall conclusion or impression or whatever summary?
Yeah. K-pop is genuinely a good hobby to have.
Hmm.
Maybe even a lifestyle. But I feel like if we go into the word lifestyle, it's like it can get a little, you have to know your boundaries
Hmm. Yeah,
because you're
you have to
gonna
keep
find
it
them
within
out.
limits. Yeah.
Yeah, like I did. I didn't want to vote anymore. I just stopped voting.
Hmm.
And yeah, you might have to experience some growing pains with that. You might get some criticism, but just, put your foot down if there is something that you really don't want to do. Just have fun. If you just have fun with K pop, have it more on the side of getting the pros and, all the happiness, the positive things, there will be some cons too. But
Hmm.
if you're conscious, then it will be a good experience for you. And if nothing else, if you don't want to be in it, just you can just listen to the music and be a casual.
Hmm.
And that will be a good experience.
Yeah.
Unless you find like shitty songs and you you don't find
Yeah,
music that you like. But
unless K-pop is in the situation it's currently in right now, where they're just not making good songs anymore at all.
oh, but like, yeah, you can listen to old K-pop and have a good experience. So
You can listen to old K-pop and enjoy.
yeah. So what is your conclusion?
Like my overall opinion
Yeah, overall
of
opinion.
K-pop. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I feel like I've gotten a lot of positive things out of K-pop, and for me, I think the biggest thing is like, I mean, I guess it's kind of similar for like as what you said, but the fandoms like don't get too deep. Like I feel like as long as you don't get too deep
Yeah.
into standing and too deep into the fandoms, it can be great. That's really the biggest thing. And I know that's kind
Mm,
of like what you said,
yeah.
sort of, but it's like don't get too obsessed. with your idols. Don't get too like dependent on getting new content and updates all the time. Like, don't have it where, like, anything that happens in the K-pop world can easily affect your emotional state. Like, you have to kind of like, you need to have other things in your life, and you need to have your attention, like your focus and attention on other things, so it doesn't feel like your whole world is ending anytime there's kind of a crisis regarding your
Yeah.
idols, or in the fandom or whatever. And like, just enjoy the music. Like you said, enjoy the music, enjoy the content, and like, try to see if you can, if you are, involved in fandoms or on these social media sites, try to see if you can find just like a couple cool people or something like that. But like, don't pay too much attention to like what's going on. Like, don't consume too much of what other fans are saying, because that does affect
Yeah.
you. Like, even if they're not being necessarily toxic or something, I mean, there usually is some degree of that, but even if they're not, it's like, just like consuming too much what other fans say about things, like, can also just kind of like affect your opinions, and like it brings your energy down. Do you feel that too?
Yeah.
Like doom
Mm,
scrolling on Twitter and like just reading what other fans are saying. It's like their opinions are kind of like might annoy you, or just like seeing what
yeah.
they're saying and like kind of
Like
influences what you think. Hmm.
most of the time scrolling like my timeline. I mean, the timeline keeps changing. And right now
Hmm.
I'm not getting that many K-pop tweets,
Hmm.
or actually right now I kind of am. But yeah, sometimes it just made me feel worse. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
going on
No,
Twitter and
it
reading
brings your
K-pop
energy
tweets.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally I got nothing. I got nothing from
Yeah.
that. Nothing good.
Yeah, you doom scroll, and like you just feel like you're in a worse mood afterwards somehow. Even if you didn't see anything that actually upset you that much, you just somehow feel like you're in a worse mood after like consuming what other fans had to say about K-pop. It's weird,
Yeah.
but that's like a thing. So I'd say, yeah, like just find a couple cool people and just talk to them in messaging apps like WhatsApp, like I do, like
Yeah.
what you do, and like, don't spend too much time online, and just enjoy it as a hobby, but like, don't get too obsessed, don't become too delulu, don't get too involved in the fandom or let the fandom affect you too much. And also just kind of like be kind to yourself. Like, the way that you talk to your idols and stuff like that, and what you want for your idols, like, the same goes for you. Like, and that's one of the things I've learned being a K-pop fan, is like, a lot of the things that I like say to my idols, I realize like, oh, those are things that I need to hear too, that like maybe people
Yeah.
don't tell me. And so it's like, you really got to kind of like, everything that you want for your idols, you should want for yourself too, and don't unfairly compare yourself to your idols, or don't compare yourself to anyone. Comparison is the thief of joy, as they say. And like,
Yeah.
keep improving
There's
and striving for what you want to do and stuff like that. And um,
yeah. Overall, with just being a fan, my advice is that maybe don't put don't put all your eggs in one basket
yeah.
like I did. Because if something happens, it could be anything. Your
Hmm.
group could disband.
Hmm. Or
Someone could
worse.
pass away.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, your idol could pass away. Um, it's good to have something else in your life, and it doesn't need to be a quote unquote normie thing. If you're not like that, it can be another fandom. Just, I think having multiple
You mean like a non
fandoms
K-pop
in,
fandom? I think you should clarify that.
yeah,
Not add
yeah,
more. You're not saying add another K-pop
yeah,
fandom.
no,
You're saying get into a different type of fandom, which is like a non K-pop fandom, which will be very different, which is very different
yeah,
from K-pop
yeah,
fandoms. Yeah. And also go outside. Like, don't just have it where you're just in a bunch of different types of
yeah,
fandoms, and you're
yeah.
online all the time. That's I think one thing you should clarify.
I
Like,
would just,
just
yeah,
have other things in your life. I think is the biggest thing. Is like,
yeah,
have other
yeah,
interests, have goals, have other hobbies that don't involve you just being online all the time. Go outside,
yeah,
challenge yourself, try to meet people, travel. Just like have more than just
yeah,
K-pop and stuff like that in your life.
yeah. I know it's hard, so that's why I
Yeah,
mentioned
I
like
know. Yeah,
another
yeah.
fandom that has helped me.
Hmm.
Um, but also just go touch grass, touch some
Yeah.
grass.
Go out into the world, find out who you are, pursue your dreams, make things happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that should be our
Yeah.
episode.
All right. So that's it for today's discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and set notifications if you would like to get alerts when there are new episodes of the K-pop Callout.
We want you to join the conversation with us, so let us know what your opinions or theories are in the comments. We upload new episodes every month on both YouTube and Spotify. Anyways, we'll see you again for the next episode.
Bye!
Bye!